Hey Clockverse, it's the Clockwinder on Clockwork Jalopy. Not much on the vlog this week. She sort of called that one in. I'm giving her a pass. I'm laughing at your superior intellect. Anyway, I've taken the opportunity to throw a little something together on the end, sort of fooling around with voiceover and clipping and editing. Just sort of an exercise, shall I say. Incidentally, this is a legitimate book. It was written by a friend, and I heartily endorse it. Take a look.
Clockwinder Playhouse is brought to you by Bosco, the Huckletty Chocolatey Treats. Remember, kids, Hitler, don't drink Bosco.
Tonight's reading, Curse of Troius by Alan Edwards.
Prologue. The spread of the contagion varies greatly in speed and volume based on the circumstances of the surrounding environs. Even so, in a densely packed area, a single individual can soon form a mindless mob of surprising size. The Journal of Troius. Elder Patrician Maris, head of the Circle of Magi of the Dreaming Tower, sighed and pressed the fingers of his right hand against the short gray hairs of his temple. This man, who could engulf an entire village in fiery ruin, summon and bind the demon lords of the void, or raise a stone tower from bare dirt at a gesture, could do nothing to quell the raising pain in his own head. He briefly considered turning to Nightcross for succor, but allowed the notion to disappear. As the first elder patrician in 5 centuries to head a trial of expulsion, Maris could not afford to appear weak. Even if the trial itself was threatening to turn into a sham, the elder patrician had the dignity of the last arcane academy to uphold. Through the throbbing counterpoint in his head, Maris listened to Escalon as he continued to enumerate the charges being leveled against one of their own. Maris could not help but cringe inwardly as the pompous mage's voice, so dreaded, detested, and widely imitated by a generation of students, merged and danced with the pounding in his head. The elder imagined the loud ringing tone winging its way up into every shadow heights of the huge dome ceiling, awakening old ghosts of patricians past. Escalon, oiled beard gleaming and short point thrusting out as punctuation, was oblivious to the fact that few in the room were actually listening to a word he said. Maris's quick glance confirmed his suspicion, as each of the patricians of the circle found means of diversion from the litany and avoided the spectacle of the orator and his presumed target. The accused and object of the accusations, Maris noted, was the only person who did appear to be listening. Troius the Jewel-Pated, wizard of the 9-pointed stars, binder of the 10 demons of Gerath, stood in the center of the circle, disdaining the chair offered to him. The rotund and fear wizard listed like an overloaded Siltrasi scowl from side to side, his 20 or more stone of body mass coming dangerously near the tipping point more than once. Despite that, the huge tankard of Armenian-fortified wine never spilled a single drop, until the massive, sweating mage brought it to his lips, when, like as not, twin streams would pour from the sides of his mouth to join the older stains on his yellowed robe. When not taking a pull, Troius stared blankly ahead, mouth quirking into a smile as a reaction to one of his crimes seemed to touch upon a fond memory. "He looks," Maris thought, "like a man being feted. The stories and legends of his grandest achievements sung before us."
Be sure to pick up your copy of Curse of Troius by Alan Edwards wherever quality books are sold. If it doesn't have Curse of Troius, they aren't selling quality books. This has been a Clockwinder reading on the Clockwork Radio Network.